Welcome everybody to the Property Podcast. This week we've got Alan Riddick, who is a serial entrepreneur. He helps businesses grow from 0 to 1 million plus. And today we're going to delve into his property journey and maybe have a look at, maybe I can ask him some questions about his own business, since I am looking to grow my own business to 1 million plus. So Alan, I think we'll just start off with your first property investment. If you'd like to go into that and share
Yeah,
with the viewers how it
absolutely.
went down.
Yeah. So firstly, thanks for having me on. It's very good to
Yeah,
be
no
here
problem.
on your fifth or sixth podcast. This will
Yeah, I
be.
think this will be the sixth. Yeah, sixth.
Yeah,
But two of them with my brother, so I don't know if I
they
can
still
count
count.
that.
There's nothing wrong
It
with
still
next to them
counts, yeah.
occasionally. Yeah, they count. Yeah, of course. Yeah, cool. Yeah,
Okay,
no. So
good, good.
listen, like I said, thanks for having me on. Yeah, in relation to property, I'll go through first deal, and then I'm sure we'll go on a journey. So it was about 2015, 2016. Before I actually started a business at all, I suppose property really was my first foray into business as such. I mean, I started business when I was 13, 14 online, but I mean, in terms of actual bricks and mortar, being an adult, even though I don't feel like an adult, but I am an adult. So yeah, so 2015, 2016 it was. So we bought a three-bed property. Because this is a property podcast, I will talk numbers. I haven't got the old spreadsheets back from 2015, 2016, but I can give you a rough number. So back then we bought a property for about 105,000. It was a three-bed. It was actually two-bed semi at the time, and we converted that into a three-bed semi-detached. It needed a full rip out, so it needed a new kitchen, bathroom. The whole house, literally from top to bottom, was ripped out. So um, the plan was, which is the key here, the plan was for it to be 9 to 12 month project. So sort of, do it in 9, get out in 12. Probably turned into sort of it being done, probably a 12 to 15 month actual rip out, get it done, get it ready for market, and actually took another 6 months to sell. So we're probably looking around about sort of a 18 to 24 month mark in terms of, when we actually got out the property. So I suppose for your viewers, my one bit of advice from my experience was learn how to delegate well, whether that's in property or in your business. So at the time itself, I was trying to do a bit of everything. My father-in-law was helping me in the property. He's done quite a few in the past, but he had other business commitments, so he couldn't be there all the time. And, if you give me a shovel or you give me, sort of any sort of DIY equipment, I am not good. I can set my Wi-Fi network probably for you, but I cannot plaster a wall or I cannot fit a kitchen. And in the end, pardon me, I was doing literally everything. So my one key takeaway from the property was, learn to delegate more. Even if you're gonna, you're ultimately gonna earn less money at the time. I was thinking, I want to maximize the profits. I want to go on to my next one. But what I found when you're trying to build anything, I think you mentioned obviously, yeah, my key thing in business is grow a business to 1 million plus. I wouldn't have been able to do that in business if I didn't delegate whatsoever. And at that time, 2015, 2016, how old was I then? I was about 23, 24. Um, I just wasn't really, I didn't really have the mindset, the knowledge to be able to do that, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
delegating is really key in any sort of project, property, business, and it's stood me in good stead now. But back to the numbers, which all your viewers, anyone that watches a property podcast,
yeah,
me included, I watch loads of them. By the way, sorry, I should say I listen to lots of them. Want to know about numbers, so I'll go back to numbers. So 105, spent around 25,000 on the property, and we sold it for, it was 153 or 154, I can't exactly remember. So if you take your stamp duty away and your solicitor's cost, you're looking sort of 15 to 20 grand, probably more near 20 grand profit on the property. But that took 2 years. So if I was in the property for what, if I spent 105 and I spent 25 grand on it, the ROI isn't too bad. It's near 20% ROI if I'm not mistaken. But I suppose if you put the time element into that as well, if we were making sort of around 20k in 2 years, I mean, I may as well have just gone and earned more money, maybe what I was doing at the time, in sales. So I think it's really key if you're going to start making that money, try and make money off a flip, is to use other people's time more effectively. What I was doing at the time, I was spending a lot of my time there, and I've said before, is probably paying myself £1 4p an hour if you work back all the hours I worked on the property.
Yeah.
So that was my key takeaway. So while I made money, didn't lose money, which I suppose is always positive. Over the time period, was I happy with what I made? No, and for the amount of work I put in. So, I've done a video on YouTube about delegation. It's key to anything, and to grow. Don't be greedy. I was being greedy. Don't be greedy is the honest takeaway from that, to be honest with you, Damien. So yeah, don't be greedy.
Yeah, I mean, like I've thought about this a lot as well, especially like kind of putting all your eggs into one basket, so to speak. It's like I've already got a full-time job, so like I'm working on a deal now. It's going on in the background, but really, like I know this already, but it's really hard, like to kind of concentrate on more than one thing at a time. But
Yeah,
really, in property, you should be having a constant pipeline, so it's like
yeah,
as
yeah,
one
yeah,
deal's just closing, you've got another one that you've just found, and another one, maybe all at different stages. But you're right,
yeah.
like the delegation thing, having somebody there who's kind of maybe managing each one, like the process, like a project manager, so to speak, or,
I mean, I've
and
gone
then
to the nth
having that.
degree. Yeah, I've gone to. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, I've gone to the nth degree
No,
now,
no, not
where
at all.
I'm in the mode of sort of trying to buy 2 or 3 vanilla buy-to-lets at the minute, and maybe this gravitates to our next point quite nicely. And a property I bought 2 last year, and happy to go into them as well. One of the
Mhm.
properties I bought, it's in a place called Widnes, which is northwest of England, half an hour from Liverpool, probably half an hour from Manchester, right on the M62, which is obviously a good commute motorway. So it's a good, it's a fairly safe place, good schools, low crime, and I know Widnes really well, and you're gonna laugh at this, but one of the properties I bought, I never went to. So what I did, and this would be
Right,
great for you, is I've not been, and that's half an hour away,
that's
which
amazing.
your viewers are going, don't know, I don't know if I can swear on this, so I won't swear, but lazy, you know what, anyway. And they're probably thinking it's half an hour away. Why didn't you go? And it's a great point, but because I've got multiple businesses, and to be honest, I think if you're doing vanilla buy to let, listen, if you're looking to do a HMO and you're ripping out and you need all sorts of approvals and stuff, I appreciate you might need to be a bit more hands on, but the ROI on that's a lot more if you do it right as well.
Yeah,
I used a company called Vuber. Don't know if you ever heard of that one.
I've heard
Vuber,
of it. Yes,
right?
yes.
And don't quote me in the figures, but if you go online, you'll see. And I think it was about 30 or 40 quid, maybe a little bit more,
All
between
right.
30 and 50 quid, let's say.
Yeah,
Someone went to the
yeah,
property, done a video on a vlogging camera or whatever they do it on, and wrote a report for me. So they went around the property, took pictures, we've identified this. They're not surveyors, just to be clear, but they know what they're talking about because they view properties all day, every day, and they must get paid a percentage by viewer. I'm not too sure how it works for them. And they went and
yeah.
viewed the property. I had a look at it. I just went on Rightmove, looked at comparables. I just look at comparables of sell prices, what I think it's going to rent for, what's the rental demand in the area, and literally off the back of that, I made an offer, and subsequently ends up getting the property. So that's half an hour away. And again, back to delegation. I just use Uber to go and do it, and I've never been in the property since. First property I ever got, which I'm happy to go into as well, rental property. I actually did it all myself in terms of got it online, rented it out, literally everything. So, and the reason I've done that, that's our doorbell in the office. Anyone can hear that, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, Wireless doorbell. So the reason I did that was so I could learn how the process worked, if that makes sense. Because I thought, well, if I'm going to have properties, even if I get like, say, 20, 20, 30, 40, 50, however many you're going to get, I always think it's worth knowing how to do it. And I literally put myself through the process all the way from, I think I listed it with Open Rent. Have you heard of those guys?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. They were quite good because you can get like a semi-managed option with them as well. But Open Rent, they put it all on Rightmove. Again, this is a good few years ago. So I can't tell you how much it was, but it was relatively inexpensive anyway. They put it all on Rightmove for you. They get the tenant. I even sent the tenancy agreements from Open Rent and just use their templates. And literally, it property was rented out. I did all the viewings myself on that occasion. Got a good feel for people. And to be fair, the first tenant I
mm,
got into that property, I met them. I did like an open house, so I just went right. There was loads of rental demand, and there's even more today, but there was loads then. Got like 20 people to a house on a Saturday, and seeing everyone. If you're doing it yourself, the only benefit I would say is if you've got time is if you're a decent judge of character, you sort of know, you know the red flags. Okay, so there's a few people in there
Yeah.
that went, no chance. But there was one lad who was, he was working engineer, really good job. I think his missus had a decent job as well. You just get a good feel for people. I offered it to them, and they stayed in the property for 2 years. So yeah, the first property I ever got, I did it myself just so I could learn the process, just in case I've got to get stuck back in for whatever reason, or I'm not too happy with letting agent. There's a bit of transition, but I think it is good to learn how you get to do it, if that makes sense. But now, fast forward in sort of 5 years, they're all managed. So I've got no desire to get involved in anything. I just can't be bothered because I just think the 10% that we pay for the management fee is worth paying, even if I'm going to lose, whatever I'm going to lose, hundreds of pounds a month, whatever it is in fees. It's worth having someone do it for me because I've managed. I mean, I think I've spoke to you earlier, and I know you've managed properties and you've done it in a more active way than me. So I can imagine that's even more of a nightmare. It's a nightmare managing long-term tenants, in my opinion, rather than short-term tenants. So I think it's really, really, again, back to delegation. It's really, really key if you're going to grow anything to do that. Yeah, it's.
I
But
really like your point though about doing it yourself first. So if
yeah,
you delegate and you don't know how to do it, you don't know
yeah,
how you want it to be done, because everybody might want it done a little bit differently, And I think I think it's really, really valuable, especially to kind of have that experience of doing it on you, like
yeah,
yourself, just so you know exactly what you want. And it's fine. Like people say, oh, perfect. Like maybe you're asking for everything, you know what I mean? But if you know that you can do it, then somebody else should be able to do it, especially if you're paying them money. So yeah, I think
yeah.
that's a really good way.
It's really the only thing I would say on that, and that, yeah, I from a property listen, I'm on a property podcast, so I think if you're getting started on a property journey, you're going to be buying, sort of vanilla buy to lets like me, because I don't, unless I end up selling some of my businesses, I don't know whether I'll go into any other property strategies, and there's like to HMOs, just because of time at the minute,
Yeah.
really, if that makes sense, and I think I can get a better ROI on my time doing what I do than that at the minute. Um, but I think it's really key in property as a purely property example to do that. I mean, from a business example, I don't know if I agree so much that you should learn everything in your business, because I don't think you can. I mean, I've got a telecoms company, and we've got engineers, operations, support team, sales team, and my strength is sales. So the sales team I've sort of molded, still get stuck in a little bit with the sales team and the management team. But if you ask me to go and install a phone system, I wouldn't have a bloody clue. So I
Right.
had to bring someone in to do that, if that makes sense. I say I don't have a clue. I have a clue of how it all works, and I know how the systems work, but in terms of actually going in to install it and hit any problems with a firewall, for example,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do that. So I think it depends on the scale, but because property is quite niche in terms of what you're doing, I think you can do that, if that sort of makes sense, Damien. But yeah, with
Would
property,
you con
100%.
would you consider using a deal sourcer then? Somebody who like kind of specializes in finding investment properties?
Trying to sell me a property.
Well, maybe sell myself. Maybe sell myself, because
Yeah,
that's what
listen.
I've been like kind of training
Yeah, I mean,
in. So
I've looked into deal source before. My only answer your question. Sorry, I was giving you a politician's answer there. Then yes, I would. If the deal was good. The deal
yeah,
sources I've looked at in the past, and they've all been credible people. I think a couple I've looked at and spoke to, and it's not really the individual themselves. The individual's been great. It's finding a deal. I go, do you know what, that's a better deal than I think I've found on, like, say, Rightmove really
mm,
quickly. You get some
yeah.
deal sources that just send you a deal over. I'm like, well, if I go on Rightmove and I offer £5,000 below the asking price, which I think I'll get in this market, then there you go. I think if you're going to offer someone a
There's no
deal, it's
value
not.
there, is there really?
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be like unbelievable. Like, the property's worth 90 and you're getting it for 50, and there's a new bathroom to put in, but there has to be some value there in case in terms of, listen, got a property. I think it was cost 20 grand to do up. I think this is how much equity you're having it. You'd be able to refinance, etc., etc. I think if you can package a deal that way, then yeah, 100%. I'd 100% look at it. What one thing I would say is, for any deal sources as an investor, what I think is really good, and a few of them do this, and if you're getting into this, do it, is get a good trade team around you, because I think, especially if you
Yeah.
offer me a house in Darlington, for example, I don't know how far that is from you, but you're from the northeast, but Darlington as an example, I'm not going to know a trade team up there, so I need to know that as part of that deal. Yeah, you're gonna have to rip it out, but you need to put I need you to put a good sort of team in place, if that makes sense. So I think of any deal sourcer, especially if there's going to be a bit of a refurb going in, then definitely do that. And also, I think as many contacts as you can get as a deal source. I'm talking about if I was doing this as a business, I would want multiple people around me so I could earn from that as well. So I'd know a good mortgage advisor I could offer to the investor, for example, and you might get a cut of the fee or the commission or whatever they get. In terms of the trade team, what I would probably do is I'd build like a project management fee for myself. So if the refurb's 20 grand, you might go, well, actually my PM fee for that is 10% on top as well. And then you earn it on top of that, but you can build that into your fee as well, plus your sourcing fee. So if I'm doing a sourcing business, I'm not just thinking about the 3 grand I'm going to charge for the property. I'm thinking, where else can I make on that deal? Because you can make that 3 grand deal maybe into a 9-10 grand deal. And if you're trying to do, say,
Yeah.
100 grand deals a year, you've got to sell 30, 33, 34 properties at just a 3 grand sourcing fee. But if you can change that sourcing fee from 3 to 9, 10 grand, then you've only got to do near 10 deals a year, if that makes sense. Or you keep doing the 30,
Yeah.
35, you make more money. So if I'm starting a deal sourcing business, I'm thinking, how can I have multi-touch points of selling something to the customer, if that makes sense? Because by the time they've agreed to the sourcing fee, you've become their consultative advisor. They trust you
Yeah.
because you've talked about the property. You give them a property pack. If they're local, you might have took them around the property. Whatever way you do it, that's your business. But I want to know what else I can sell that customer once I've sold them the deal sourcing fee. So just if that's something you're looking at, or anyone that's watching this looking at, we do in our business. We sell multiple products in our telecoms business. So once we sell them one, it might be straight away we sell them another one. It might be 12, 24 months we sell them another product, but just be able to sell multiple products, because you will get to your goal of X a lot quicker, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice, actually. I kind of I had that in my mind, all as well.
Yeah,
But I kind of thought, right, I'll get because basically the first deal that I've ended up finding that works really
yeah,
well, I want to keep it. I just kind of
yeah.
don't want to let go. So I kind of wanted to find the money for it instead of kind of selling it on for a little fee.
Why did you
And
want
I
to keep? Why
think
did you want to
this is
keep it? Why did you want to keep it? Just out of interest.
just because it just seemed like a really good deal. Where
Right.
I think it's either going to be all money out, if not maybe 5 to 10 grand left in it.
Yeah.
And I do have, as I said before, I do have relatives who are doing well in property
Yeah.
development. So I've actually went to him and I've asked him for advice. And he might go as far as loaning us the deposit for it, and everything. So I feel like for this one, I could actually potentially just acquire the money
I think
through
if you
investments
can
and
get the
through
money cheap
finance.
off, yeah, if you can get the money cheap off a relative, and he's willing to give you a bit of a leg, or he or she's willing to give you a bit of a leg up, do it. Keep it yourself, especially if you
Yeah,
refinance the money out. If you can refinance most of the money out, mate, do it 100%, because, and then you
that's
can
what
just
I'm
go again
thinking.
and find another deal. I mean, but then you're going away from property sourcing to sort of becoming a buy to let landlord, or property investor, should I say? So
Yeah,
I
that's
suppose
my goal,
really,
really. Yeah,
yeah, you need loads of pipeline on your source, and you need to get in front of estate agents and build relationships. So you've got that many deals where, unless the Sultan of Brunei, you're not going to be able to fulfill all them deals, are you? So you're going to have to sell some of
yeah,
them at that
yeah.
point. So just get a good pipeline of deals, and you know if money was unlimited, you'd have hundreds of properties, but you're not be able to do it all, are you? So 100%, mate.
Yeah. That's it. Kind of. I'm definitely learning a lot as I go through it. Especially the skill of
Yeah,
patience, which I don't think I had before. I
yeah,
definitely thought everything just need to be right now and happening
yeah,
exactly when I want it to, and it just does never works like that. But yeah, I'm definitely going to use this first one, my own deal, to kind of just kind of learn each process and actually build that team as well. So get everybody on my side, kind of thing. People who I can then I can use on future ones or for investors
Yeah,
projects. So yeah, really good advice. Really good advice. Like I'll take that on board.
brilliant.
So my second question, usually, what I'd like to talk about is kind of because like I have big ups and downs, big roller coasters of emotions. You know, I get really excited, I get like stuck in, and I'm
Yeah,
really motivated, and then something will happen, personal life, whatever might happen, and
yeah,
I just fall off a cliff. You know, I think the
yeah,
podcast is keeping us really accountable. Every week, I have to make sure all the videos are edited and scheduled out, so it's
yeah,
keeping us
yeah,
really accountable, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But when it comes to the social media side, like creating like more like vloggy style content, or maybe
yeah,
like property news, I like to do videos on the property news and stuff.
yeah,
That the motivation wanes and then it comes back. So I want to ask people kind of like when you get there, those moments where you like literally feel like you want to give up, or even the
yeah.
lesser ones where it's just like, oh, I just really can't be bothered. What kind of is your motivator? You know, what kind of gets you through those times?
Uh, I mean, it's a broad topic. Just to come on to your point, what you said, because I think I'm going to use you as an example, because I obviously I I do content creation now on YouTube, and on Instagram with like yourself and TikTok and all those lovely platforms. But it's having the sort of the accountability. But you're very accountable to yourself, which is great. But it's having the accountability to go, I need to put another video out, otherwise, you're gonna feel stupid or whatever. I mean, my just to come back to content creation, I'll go on to more. In terms of the content creation side, I actually was gonna start doing a bit of content online from January 24. Uh Business got in the way, we had multiple projects on, I was getting stuck in. I didn't do it. It actually took me to go and book a podcast studio in Liverpool, and I know a guy who runs one. And I just said, "Listen, I'm signing up for 6 months. Here's the contract. You know,
Right.
they're not cheap. They're not cheap." And I knew that would make me do it, because I went, I don't want to lose a lot of money. So I think from what you've just said, and I'm the same, from an accountability perspective, is absolutely key to have some sort of accountability, whether that's your partner, whether that's a friend. You need some level of accountability to keep going. In terms of the ups and downs in business, in life, in property, you can apply this across the board, can't you? I think the thing is, you've got to have a goal in place of what you want to achieve. So again, I always go on about um get to a million pound plus, business, for example. Yeah, you've got to have a goal that you're going to go towards, and you just need to be fixated on that goal. So if things are going wrong, listen, you've just got to pick yourself up and keep going. It's absolutely key to have that goal in your mind at all time. A lot of people create like vision boards. Don't know if you've ever heard of that, where they go,
Yeah.
yeah, you've heard one of them. Yeah, yeah. So we do it at the team here at Agility quite a lot. Once a year, normally January, come in and go, right, what do you want to achieve this year? What do you want? And the old-fashioned way of doing it is, um, the less creative males in our company normally just try and write it down on a piece of paper. um,
Yeah.
but the stuff online you can use now, but you might have a picture of a car, a house, you might want to get married. If you have that, if you have something in place where you've got an aim, the ups and downs become a lot, well, the ups are always great, but the downs become a lot more bearable, if that makes sense. Where if you've got nothing in your mind to go towards and to sort of focus your mind, then what the downs end up doing is to get you even more down, and you give up quite easily. So I think, to summarize for me, listen, I've had loads of ups and downs in life and in business. You've just got to keep going and just look towards that goal, and just fixate yourself on a goal. What we set a budget for all the business I'm involved in each year. And we set a budget and go, right, where do we want to be at the end of each year? Okay, we want to make this much money. Right, how are we going to get there? How much sales do we need? What are our conversion rates? So I think if you put real plans in place, again, coming back to business of, right, we need to do this many sales, this many proposals, that's going to get us to there. As long as you've got KPIs in place as well, I think. And by the way, we don't hit KPIs all the time, because who does? Sometimes we exceed them, but sometimes we don't. But if you have all that in place, then it puts you in a good standing to stick to your strategy, stick to your budget, and just really go for that goal. I just think having a goal is absolutely key. Um, Otherwise, it's very, very easy to have a really bad month or two and just pack it all in. So goals, accountability, very similar to you, to be honest with you. There's no real words of wisdom on this apart from goals and accountability. That's what you've got to do.
I think yeah, no, but that is like key. I think yeah. So like I've got a full-time job that like kind of pays the bills and it gets
Yeah, yeah,
maybe one holiday a year, you know.
yeah,
And but
yeah,
I had this realization that it's still not enough. Like I want the freedom of my time back. So I'm having to put 50 hours in a week to that job, in order to provide this for my family. And I just think like.
yeah.
So that my motivators are obviously the girls, you know. I want to
Of
provide
course,
for
yeah, yeah,
them.
yeah,
So it's like what the kind of mantra that I always tell myself is you only fail if you quit. So
yeah,
as long as you just keep going, that you can have your ups and downs and kind of like you can really like sink low, whatever it is. But as long as you keep going, keep chipping away at it and never actually go, right, that's it, I'm done. Because
yeah.
like that's just not an option for me, and that's kind of how I get myself through it.
Yeah, you just said one thing as well about time veering off a little bit on a tangent here, but that's always good in these sort of
That's
things
good.
because
It's
it's good
good.
content. So, money and time. There's unlimited money in the world. That's why, the printers get turned on by the Bank of England or,
Hmm.
the Federal Reserve in America. They'll turn on the money printers when they want. And there's unlimited money in the world, if that makes sense. You can go make more money. Even
Yeah.
if you even if I lost all money today, there's a way to go make more money, but your time is key. You've just said you've got girls. I've got a boy and a girl as well, 4 and a 2-year-old, and having the time with them is worth um, much more than any money in the world. So again, coming back to sort of time and money, when I started the business about 5-6 years ago, I had I had a high paid sales job, very high paid sales job, easily well into the 6 figures, and I was earning really good money
Right.
working for a big corporate. Um, but I looked at it, and it wasn't just all about time freedom, by the way, for me. But when I look back at it, I went, I want more time freedom, but I want to live life on my own terms, and I want to be with my kids whenever. For example, I've just been away for 3.5 weeks to Dubai, just because my the money I bring in at the minute is not tied to the time, if that makes sense, of me working. I don't. I for the probably I sold part of my business 2 years ago, and especially since then, because I've invested in different assets, property, other businesses, etc. What that's allowed me to do is it's allowed me not to trade my time for money, if that makes sense. So I think if you
Yeah.
can get to that point, whether that's through property or whatever you're doing, just get to the point where you're not trading your money for time. Listen, we've all been there. I'm not. Please don't think it's like, oh, you should be doing that. Everyone has to, unless you're born into Rupert Murdoch's family or something like that. You've got to, at some point, you've got to trade your time for money. And by the way, he probably makes his kids work 10 times as anyone, knowing a fella like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you trading your time for money is a necessity at the start, but you need to keep on investing that money in multiple asset classes, let it build up, and get money. Get time on your own terms. But also from a business perspective, when you start a business or whether it's in property or whatever, you can pay yourselves in more tax efficient ways. And again, I'm not an accountant, so always speak to a decent accountant. But you're not yet. You probably know this. When I
Yeah.
worked, when I left my high paying corporate job, I could probably do half the amount of revenue profit in the business, for example, than working for someone and being taxed a lot more, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
if you get if you've got a good business plan and you can implement it, if you'll bear the fruits of your labor when you're making good money and you pay yourself in tax efficient ways where, your net pay really, you can probably make it into, if you want to, you can make it into a lifestyle business. I've got a friend, just as an example, who's financial advisor, and he's worked for a few big companies. And I we meet up just to chat business, see how he's getting on. I'm helping him, helping him. He's doing all the setup himself, but any advice he wants on a soundboard, and he wants it as more of a lifestyle business. He sort of said, "Listen, I just want sort of 50 clients that I charge X amount a month for, and I know it'll be really easy. I don't have to go to the office. I can work when I want. Investments take over themselves, and he'll have a lifestyle business out of it." So again, I don't just want a lifestyle business. I've got goals and aspirations to grow the business massively, just personal goals. But if you want a lifestyle business, then there's nothing wrong with that. You should really go for that, because I don't know what you do at the minute, but whatever you do, you're working 9 to 5, you're answering to someone, and it doesn't have to be like that, if that makes sense. Especially when
Yeah.
with property sourcing more than me. I just know it from an investor's perspective, but I'd be very surprised if you didn't sell if you sold 2 deals a month. I'm sure you could quit your job today, no problem.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Easy, maybe even 1. I don't know, but you can sell 2 deals a month, and 2 deals a month, if you've got a good pipeline from the estate agents, might be able to, you might be able to sell 2 deals in a week. I don't know. I don't know. Might be loads of pipeline. You might get a good estate agent, but you could quit your job if you got into that. So yeah, time and money. Money's infinite. Time is finite. We're only here for a certain amount of time. We don't know how long it is. So, and again, it took me a bit of time to get to that point, but I'd say to anyone on this, whether they're going into property or business, just try and separate time and money as soon as you can, because that's when your life, you'll make more money, and also you'll have more freedom, and you'll enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
deep,
that makes
wasn't it?
total sense. Makes I know. Well, no, it hit me. I'm actually thinking about that. That actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think I spend a lot of time at my job,
Yeah,
and with the tax and everything like that, it feels quite like God. Like even when I'm doing overtime, I've just hit that threshold, the 50 grand threshold. So like I'm doing overtime, and I do 12-hour shifts, sometimes through the night,
yeah,
and it's like you're working your first 6 hours for the government, and it's like yay, it's not, it doesn't feel good to do it,
yeah.
because
It
I'm
seems like,
making
yeah. I mean,
Mr. Whoever loads of money, but
yeah.
I'm not really seeing it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, what I say to a lot of people, I'll have a YouTube video coming out in a few weeks on this. Like, I've done a YouTube video on side hustles that can make you $1,000 or more. I mean, I set a business up during lockdown with a good friend of mine and another business partner that I've worked with in the past, and it was a digital marketing business. And that in revenue now, and I don't really get involved day to day, that does about 50, 60 grand a month in recurring revenue, just ticking over,
Oh,
ticking in, ticking in. Isn't all profit,
oh,
that, by the way.
lovely.
Don't want to make that clear to the viewers, so it's not. But even
Yeah,
still, it's doing recurring revenue. We've got consistent clients, if that makes sense, and it makes a
yeah,
decent level of profit. But my point is, I don't work in that business. I'm not tied to that business from a time perspective, but I'll get a dividend at the end of each year, or might pay an interim dividend during the year. So if you can get into that, if you can get into sort of any sort of side hustle, it might develop into a business. A bit like what you're doing, potentially the property sourcing, get into a side hustle, and that will make you a level of money that potentially you could replace your income, your income from, or some people like the job and just want it as a bit of a side income, so they can go on a nice holiday or more holidays a year. My only argument would be to that is, well, if you've got a PAYE job in the UK, you're probably going to get taxed the hill, and it probably won't work. So you want to try and replace your job as soon as possible from a tax efficiency perspective. Again, speaks an accountant, but yeah,
yeah,
side hustles are a great way to start in your property sourcing empire, because that's what I'm going to call it, because that's what it's going to turn into, because you're going to do it. Um, it will turn into that, and I guarantee, I don't know what you do, but I guarantee you're into your property. You've got a property podcast. You're going to enjoy the sourcing more than what you do. I guarantee. I know it, because that's
love
why
it.
you're. Yeah, you will. You love it, and you'll love it, and you'll earn
Yeah,
more. So do it as soon as you possibly can, my friend, because you'll just
yeah,
you'll love it. And when I start again, I started this business agility 5-6 years ago, and I left a very very high paying corporate job, and I sat there and had a baby on the way 3 months later as well, and Mrs. like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Just going for it." I've sat there with a laptop in like a builder's yard, just sat there thinking, "Ah, well, got to crack, got to crack on now." But it was the best thing I ever did. it was the most daunting thing I ever did, but it was the best thing I ever did. So, the halfway house that is do a side hustle, do what you're doing, get the income up and just go, right, I've got X amount coming in a month, that covers my expenses, it covers my wage or what I was doing, then you go. So my only advice anyone watching this, if they're going to be property sourcing or doing what you're doing or getting into property, is get your income to a point where it can replace your current job. And as I said before, tax wise, that might be a lot less than what you think. Again, speak to an accountant and just go for it because you'll be a lot happier person, I guarantee.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And to be fair, like that, the deal sourcing side of it, kind of finding actual sourcing side of it, it's kind of fell off a cliff, since I started
Yeah,
the podcast. And with this deal going on in the background, like my own deal,
yeah,
I've kind of just been putting all my eggs into these two baskets and then the
yeah.
social media side as well. But really, I should be building that pipeline up again. So thank you for this conversation as well, because
Do it.
really I hadn't even thought about it. I've been so consumed with the social media and then like obviously the stresses of trying to get everything sorted on that deal. I've just forgot to keep looking for deals, and what you're saying, speaking to estate agents and all that, I haven't done it in a
Get
couple of
into it.
months
Yeah.
now.
The thing is, you can look for deals
So
and
yeah,
ring up, but what you want to do is get someone on side in an estate. Listen, this is what I would maybe do. Get someone, go to a load of estate agents, get them on side, take them a bit of lunch, tell them what you're trying to achieve, tell them what you know in property, tell them you're being on see Rockmore and all this sort of stuff, and really, really sell it to them that I'm going to sell you deals. I've got loads of investors lined up, even if you haven't, by the way. And
yeah,
just go, I'm gonna make your life easy because when you sell a deal, you're gonna pay commission. When I sell it and package it up, I'm gonna get paid. You're gonna sell a lot more properties through me, so you need to do it. And your essentially your prospecting pipeline should come from other people. All you need to do is find, you know, high net worth individuals or people with a few quid looking to invest. Which it sounds like you've got a few people in your family as well. By the way, you could package deals up and
yeah,
give him a little Damien discount of 50% off your sourcing fee or something. I don't know.
yeah,
And you could do that. So you need to get into it. Listen, the social media stuff, it takes time, mate. So and I know that from experience. So it's not easy, but you need someone feeding your pipeline and use this platform to sell your deals. Um, you know,
yeah.
do a few little shorts on YouTube and TikTok and tell them about what deals you've got, and that might sell deals as well.
Yeah, yeah. This is insane. This is so crazy, right? So on
Oh,
the eighth, I was at a wedding, and we ended up sitting on a table, and the guy he was in construction. He does like roofing, but like
yeah,
big projects. And
yeah.
his girlfriend owned an
Wow.
estate agent. So I'm like, right, okay, I need to go and like, because we're all having drinks and all that, and we had a good
Yeah.
laugh. But really, I need to set up a meeting with her. Like things have just clicked into my head. Like, all right, okay, I know exactly who I need to speak to. From what you're
100%.
saying, that is going to be because obviously she owns and runs the estate agents. But like if I can have my own like my brand in her head when these properties come up, the smelly properties, like the
Yeah,
rundown
yeah, yeah.
properties or whatever, and just make her think, right, okay, I'll just ask Damien first, and like,
And
yes,
then what you
right,
can do is,
okay, I know what I need to do now.
yes, you got your estate agent, which is your pipeline side. Then the other side of the coin is you need to find investors. So, in your
Yeah,
local area, you could do a couple of things. So you could use software like Endole or Credit Safe, where like you search for either property investment companies. There's a certain SIC code, which it'll like be like own and operating real estate. I can't remember which one it is. I'm not an accountant, but you can find them sort of companies in your areas and literally find out where they are, where they live, send them letters or find them on LinkedIn and just go, listen, I live in your area, I'm a property source. I think I can bring you deals below market value here. I've got a load of deals. Would you have a chat with me? And then you can do that side and find people. And then what all you're doing is you bring them together, aren't you? So I would like to say get your estate agent for your pipeline and then go and find your property real estate owners, whatever you want to call them, and potentially even business owners in the area as well, because business owners tend to like investing in property. I know I
yeah,
do. And you can just that then you've got to do the real graft of trying to get them on board, set a few meetings up, and listen. People in business circles speak, don't they? So once you do one deal, the next thing you do then is I'm giving you a bit of a sales 101 here. Actually, what you do is
you are.
ask
I
is
really appreciate it.
say to them, right, okay, you're happy with it? Yeah, you got a great deal. Thank you very much. We've took your project management fee at 2 grand, your sourcing fee, and we've gone with your mortgage advisor, so you've made that deal from 3 to 7 grand now. What you then need to do is just go, right, do you want to buy more? Yeah, bring me more, no problem. But also, who else do you know? So ask for referrals straight away, because they'll know other people who buy property. And then what you're doing is word of
Yes.
mouth gets round, you get more pipeline on the other side. Your estate agent's happy because they've been paid the commission, they're selling houses. And then once you keep building it, you go to the estate agent next door and say, I'm working with these and I'm doing this. I bet you've got loads of properties as well. I know multiple investors. Can we do something else? And then just build and build and build and
Yeah.
build to the point of you've got a property sourcing company with 5, 10, 15 people. You'll train them up to go sourcing. You'll have a pipeline of properties coming from the estate agents, and then you just need to go and find more investors, and then you might do more on the podcast, invite more high net worth people. Then it just compounds, and that's again. This isn't a shameless plug for my videos, by the way, or how I get people to £1 million in revenue, but that's how you get to £1 million. You start small, you get tangible results, and then on and on and on, it just grows naturally, if that makes sense. I mean, there's other ways to do it, like buying businesses, but that's for a different conversation. But that's how you do it. It just snowballs, and if you're good at what you do, it will it will snowball. It will absolutely just snowball, increase, because people trust you. That's how you. If you're asking me, I was going to build a sourcing business. That's why I would start. That's how I'd do it today. 100%. Start
Amazing.
local, and
Amazing.
then
Yeah,
build, build, build.
it's almost like a business coach meeting almost or something.
Well,
But literally,
it's
this is
advice.
exactly what I need.
I've done it, but not obviously in a sourcing sense. That exact
Yeah.
sort of stuff that I was talking about. That's probably how you get from 0 to maybe 100, 200 grand in revenue. So you can do it through referrals, through basically for what I've just explained to everyone. To get to maybe the next level, that's when you need to start putting systems and processes in place, and getting CRMs and getting more people, not just hiring people going to sell. You need sort of admin people, operations people in your business, and that's when you scale to the next level. But listen, you might be, if you get to 0 to 200, then you're making the money you want to make, and you can go on holiday every year. You can invest in one or maybe 2 properties a year and then refinance them. Then if that's what you want to do, good for you, because it's about living life on your own terms. Don't be dictated to. I mean, I haven't really got the inclination to have £100 million business, because I just think it'd be a load of hassle and stress, and I don't need to be worth 200-300 million quid to live the life I want to live. Anyone watching this might not want to have £1 million business. They might go earning 150 grand a year, giving me what I want for my lifestyle, and they might have a little spreadsheet. I read a book, 4 Hour Work Week. Is it behind me? Oh, it's got to be there, hasn't it? Sorry, I'm turning. I just like looking. Okay, here we go. Just so everyone knows, I'm not a blagger on camera. So that book, you can tell I read it as well, because look at the pages, look at the state of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a holiday book. I think that was dropped in the pool in Dubai or something. I don't know, but I read it many years ago, and I think there's something in the book called a dreamline, and what the dreamline is. You can go on Tim Ferriss's website, you can find this. You plug in all like your expenses and your wants. There's a bit of contingency, and it gives you sort of like what you need to aspire to earn each month to have financial freedom, shall we say. So as long as you can get to that, whether that's 2, 3, 4, 40 grand a month, then that should be your goal. The goal shouldn't be, when I was younger, I was like, I want £1 million. I want to earn £1 million a year. Why? Just because I do. There's not really a goal, is it? You need to have an aspiration of, I want maybe this car. I want my kids to have X, Y, and Z. I want to live in this sort of house. Once you get to that, then you've got life on your own terms then, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 100%.
But yeah, everyone watching this, read that book. That helped me, one of many, transform my businesses anyway, and doing what I'm doing today, including property as well, by the way. So if you've never read that, I don't know if you've read that or not, Damien. Have you read that book or not?
I haven't, no.
No, read it.
I'm definitely going to give it a go, though.
Read it. It's a good book. How many pages is it? Over 300. It's not too bad. Really good book. And it'll get you to where you want to be.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, I think this conversation's probably going to get us where I want to be even quicker, I think. I mean, God, my brain's on fire. All the things I know that I need to do, literally today.
After this conversation, you'll be there. You'll have multiple pads out, writing all sorts of stuff down. And I hope you do.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Anyone I speak to about business, I want, and everyone watching this, just take action and, get yourself to where you need to be happy. That's what it's all about.
Amazing. Well, thank you for the advice. It's really, really, really helpful. Like literally, all I'm thinking now is in fact, I love when I'm editing the video and I'm going back through it.
Yeah.
And like that's when like my learning time. Like I don't need to take a pen and paper right now and write anything down, because when I'm editing, I'm getting all my notes, and when I watch a video 100 times, I'm like, right, I know exactly what I need to do. So no, honestly, I really appreciate that. Really do.
Should we veer, before we finish, should we veer back into sort of buy-to-lets very quickly, in terms of, because I know people who will watch this are probably gone, this has took a bit of a turn and it's gone a bit deep and we've got a bit of piece, but maybe give them a little bit more value in terms of like sort of how I assess deals and what deals I've done in terms of just vanilla buy-to-lets. Again, anyone who's watching,
Perfect,
if you want to hear about sexy HMOs, this probably isn't the podcast for it with me on anyway, but I can tell you what I've done and how I've done it. So the first ever property I bought, which we mentioned before, which I had to self-manage for a period, I'll give you real figures on this. I bought it off 55k. So I bought 55 grand. It's in a place called Old Swan in Liverpool. And anyone that's from the Northwest, or even anyone that's coming to Liverpool, when you come into Liverpool, you come down the M62, normally from wherever you're coming from. And there's a big dual carriageway you come onto called Edge Lane. And round there is where I bought this property. And it's just a 2-bed terrace, vanilla. I spent about 5 grand on the time in it. I got a magnet kitchen. Anyone that's done properties up knows about magnet. And another bit of a nugget of advice. Back then, I think I still pay for it now. I use a company called LNPG. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the appliances and furniture and stuff.
So I think the kitchen, again, these are rough figures, but the kitchen probably should have cost 3.5 grand. And I think we got the kitchen all over 1,200 quid. So you don't just get trade prices on LNPG. Yeah, you get contract prices as well. So whenever I've done anything up, I've always gone through them, because you get contract prices, which obviously means you're buying in bulk. That's the sort of prices you're getting, which is really, really good. So done the kitchen up, put a bit of flooring down, looked really, really good. Didn't do much else to it, a bit of liquor paint and all that. Didn't need loads doing to it. And then we rented the property to start with. And this is coming on to rental growth and properties and why I think people should invest in properties. I just think it's insane. 475 originally. So if you take away the 5 grand, which we shouldn't, but if we do that, the yield on it's not bad anyway. I mean, the yield back then, I'm going to get a calculator out now. I don't want to look stupid on camera getting it wrong. But so what would the yield be? The yield then would have been around 10% anyway. Okay. So 10%, rented it really quickly. Had a good tenant, as I mentioned before, for 2 years. All good. New tenants in, couple new tenants, and I've got a long-term tenant now, so no problem. So today, the property's down the road. I bought this in 2019, I think. Yeah, 2019 I bought it. So today, the properties are going for 105k. So it's gone up by 50 grand. But, plus the 5 grand I put in. And it's renting, which I think is actually, it's not more impressive because the ROI, because obviously I've got a 75% LTV. No, I've got an 80% LTV mortgage on this. Actually, I only put 20% down.
Wow.
But what's probably more impressive in my mind, even if it isn't from an ROI perspective, is we rent it for $750 a month now.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I know. So,
really? God.
Really.
You're really holding on to that one for the refinance.
Yeah, 750. So, obviously the mortgage we got at the time, obviously we've done a remortgage. I got a 5-year fix at the time. So I think the mortgage at the time was around about 3.6%, which back then, for everyone watching this, if you've got properties in your own name or not, luckily I hit property at the time where we knew the new taxation rules coming in for the government. And, I've got a couple of business partners who've got properties in their own name. It's just a nightmare for them from a tax perspective if you're a high earner anyway. But basically when we did the deal, I think it was around 3.6%, which wasn't great because at the time you could get properties in your own name, but it's like, I think back then it was like 1.5%. It was something ridiculous rates. But back then, because SPVs, and for anyone that doesn't know what an SPV is, special purpose vehicle, mortgages were still quite new. The rates weren't as competitive because people weren't, not as many companies were in the market offering limited company mortgages back then. Now it's changed. It's on an even keel, sort of. But anyway, it was 3.6% mortgage back then. And I think the mortgage on it back then was about 138 quid a month. So even back then, if you've got your
Oh,
475, that's still good money back then.
that's
Fast
still
forward
good.
now,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, we've done a remortgage. We've done a we've renewed the rate. Sorry, I can't remember I think the rate we got was 4.5%. Again, with the mortgage works, that's who the mortgage is with. And even now with the 750, I think the mortgage is only around about 40 quid a month.
yeah,
So the profit's insane. So that's one of the properties before I was going to say to you that I'm probably going to do a refinance on, take a bit of cash out,
yeah,
buy another one, and then I probably buy another one this year as well. But that property deal I always hang on to because it's just like an amazing deal. And the reason it's done well, I think, there's always been a look in property. I'm not going to say what I did. I did a load of planning on this, and I just knew it was going to go up. That's just it's rubbish. No one fully knows. But
yeah,
round there's a big retail part that was getting built, or it was getting built up at the time, and it sort of leads on to the houses that I've got. It's also a good commuter belt for people going out into Liverpool, out of Liverpool. There's hospitals nearby. Alder Hay Children's Hospital, which most people on the podcast in the UK will know. Probably the that and Great Ormond Street, the two big kids hospitals in the UK. It's like about
yeah,
a mile and a half down the road from there. There's a big business park around the corner, so it was quite well connected. It's quite well connected, is what I'm trying to say. So it did quite well for that reason. Obviously, property prices went nuts as well, which has helped. Um, but so yeah, I mean that come back to that. That's the first deal I did, and what I'm in the market for is just 2 3 bed terraces because the yield on them's insane. A lot of property gurus, and I'm not disagreeing with them by the way, would say, well, you should probably go for a little bit of a better area and maybe a bigger house. But for me, it's always been about the not just about the yield, but for me, a lot of it is about the yield and what you can bring in. Because the problem, if you've gone and bought in London and say the last 5 years, like you're definitely losing money on them properties because the rental
yeah,
yields are so low. So I think it's a bit of a balance in that really. I've always liked to see good income come off the properties because ultimately that's what's paying the mortgage each month. I'm not paying the mortgage. I've got an interest only mortgage, and that's a strategy that I'll always use. And I just want the interest being paid and paid and paid again. I think on that mortgage there's a 44 grand mortgage on it as it stands. But if you think of a 44 grand mortgage today versus say 5 years ago, I mean, most people watching this know how
yeah,
it works. 44 grand is not the same as 5 years ago. Let me assure you.
yeah.
If
No,
the purchasing power of that 44 grand is probably reduced by 50% easy. So
yeah,
obviously that's coming on to another topic. That's why I always do interest only mortgages because essentially using the bank's money to obviously finance it. They're taking no equity in the property. And over time, over 20, 30 years, that 44 grand per property, assuming that all properties are bought 55 grand, then that's just going to erode in value. And then you can either do
yeah,
two things from a strategy perspective. You can either buy, hold, die, which is what I plan to do, or if you want to de-risk completely, but there'll be a taxation issue potentially. Is you've got 10, you might be able to sell 5 in 30 years time, pay them all off, and then you've just got income coming in off them 5 properties forever, and you're safe essentially. I mean, I take more of a view of why sell them when you're going to get hit with a big tax bill. Just keep refinancing them, buy more personally, and get a bigger asset value. But that's horses for courses. People's strategies are different, and listen, life events happen where you might want to de-risk, and I might want to de-risk in 20, 30 years. I mean, I'm only 32 at the minute. There's people who might watch this who are 62 and go, "You wait, young man." You wait. You probably de-risk because life gets in the way and things happen, which they can do. But yeah, that was the first deal. And then I bought in other areas. I think I mentioned previously before we come on air about a place called Widnes, which is about
yeah.
half an hour from Liverpool, 40 minutes from Manchester, roughly. Fairly nice area, low crime rates. Not far from Warrington, which a lot of property people love Warrington because it's done so well. It's like a cheaper Warrington, essentially.
Yeah,
It hasn't got the commercial aspect of it, but it's a good commuter belt and it's a fairly safe area. And again, 2 3 bed terraces there. Again, I can give you some figures. So I bought 2 last year, one for 92, one for 96. And the 96 is renting for about 750 a month at the minute. So again, I'll get the
Yeah,
magic calculator,
very nice.
out to work out the yield. So again, yeah, 750 times 12 divided by 96. So yeah, you're looking over 9% yield. And that's what, and again, coming back to stats, I always try and look for about a 9% yield and around about a 10 to 15% ROI on the properties, just buying vanilla buy-to-lets. Because if you look, if I reran the figures on the first property, you bought 55,000 quid. I mean, the figures look insane on that now. I mean, we can do it on,
Yeah.
people love figures, don't they? So if we go on those values, 750 today, so 9 grand, 9 grand a year in rental income. If I divide that by the purchase price of 55 grand, I mean, you yield 16% at the minute on that investment. It's not, it's
That's
ridiculous.
crazy, yeah.
But that's the power of property, isn't it? That's why you're doing this podcast,
Yeah.
because what I like about it is assuming interest rates are hopefully around about what they should be today. If I've got a mortgage of 250 a month and I've got a rental income of 700 quid a month, we know probably in 10 or 15 years time that's going to at least double that rental income, but the interest only
Yeah.
mortgage is such as going to stay the same. So that's why I love looking at, and again, from an RI perspective, I should look at the capital appreciation as well. But I look at here and now, and what I like to know is in 10, 15 years time, that property that's making me 750 today is going to make me 1,500, but the mortgage is going to be the same, if not maybe lower, who knows. So your rental income's going up, and that's why it's a great, obviously, hedge against inflation, but also it's a great planner for anyone that's looking to retire or, like yourself, look for financial freedom or independence from those properties. If you build up 10 properties and you're making on average 250 a property today, but your rental income, say 700 quid a property, it's going to double. That property is probably going to go to around about 950 a grand profit per property, if that makes sense, in 15 years. You've got 10 of them, that's 10 grand a month. Now listen, 10 grand a month in 15 years is going to look different from today, don't get me wrong, but if you've got a mortgage today that you're paying off and interest rates stay steady, your mortgage is going to stay around the same on your current home. Obviously, go into a different debate, but I'd say your own home is definitely a liability. But at least that's going to stay the same. But as you get older as well, and your kids get older, you tend to spend less anyway. And that's why, I invest in multiple asset classes, as I've discussed, but that's why I really like property, because you can really see the value it's going to bring. Again, we live on a very small island in the UK, and we don't build enough houses. I think to meet sort of housing demand, we'd have to build 350,000 houses a year. I mean, I think Labour are coming in
Yeah.
saying they're going to do it. No government over the last 30, 40 years has ever hit that demand.
It's never done it.
You fly, you leave, I don't know, maybe it's Teesside Airport or Manchester Airport or whatever airport you leave. You fly off and you see all that, you see all the land, you see all the greenery. There's enough to build on. So there's enough to build on, but planning regulation stuff won't allow it to. So we live on an island with a finite amount of houses with a growing population. Property's only going one way, which is great. Can't speak about other countries like Australia where there's lots of land and maybe they can build more. They've got, more lax planning regulations. But in our country, for me, that's why property is such a safe bet and why I'd implore everyone to go and invest in property. And I'm sure everyone watching this is either going to or is planning on it and is doing it right now as well.
Yeah, I think I'm sure I'm not pulling these out of thin air, these figures, but from what I've heard, we're only allowed to build on 6% of the land in the UK, but currently we're only building on 3%. But currently we're only building on either 2 or 3% of it. So it's a load, like literally double the amount that we've got now, but it's still a tiny amount in the grand scheme of things.
Well, yeah, you look at, I don't debate that. Next time everyone flies off on the jollies to Benidorm,
you can see it.
Have a look. Just look out the window, and I think your point is probably very valid. Again, I don't know if it is, but wouldn't surprise me. But like Greenland,
I'm questioning myself now. I'm sure I've heard that before.
Put a disclaimer. It's fine. That's what I always do. I haven't got the figures to hand, but I think there's no problem. But yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. I think it's got to be the case. Look out the window.
Yeah,
that's what it's got to be. So.
Yeah, you realise like cities aren't that big, maybe like London or whatever, but like Newcastle, really, I mean, like top to bottom, you can drive it in 20 minutes, if that. It's like it's not a big place,
No, No,
But yeah,
listen,
there's a plenty more people than there is properties, that's for sure. There's
100%.
there's a huge deficit. I think there's about a million property plus deficit in the UK, something crazy like that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
it's
know.
definitely
I'm
so.
sure. I'm sure it's over 300,000 a year we've got to build, and I think Labour have said they're going to. But every government, every new government that gets in, always says they're going to build more property, and they never do. Whether it's
So
go on, sorry.
sorry, yeah. I mean, so creating properties, like there's one thing building it, but the other thing is getting the uninhabitable properties and bringing them back up to a habitable state. So like
Yeah,
you're still providing properties, you're not building a new one, but at least you're providing a home for somebody, and I think that's dead important.
yeah. I mean, ideally, listen, there's people on property waiting lists, and I don't want people to think I'm probably all the same. I'm not just a greedy landlord that don't want price to go. I think there needs to be. I don't agree with rent controls as such because I think with rent controls, what you'll find is landlords will exit the market and it'll get worse for people and there'll be less properties. So, but the reason rents went up anyway is because we had monetary irresponsibility from the government printing loads of money during COVID in the preceding years anyway. So you can't really blame greedy landlords for that. That was the market conditions, but the government do need to get their act together because people do need houses and people need to build houses as
Yeah,
well. That makes sense. So
yeah, oh yeah,
you know,
100%.
big plea to Labour, just go and build a load of houses because property prices will still go up anyway, and at least people get a place to live as well, which is really
Yeah,
important, isn't it? So
oh definitely, definitely.
cool.
Yeah. So what are you currently putting all your time and effort in? What is your like current main business? What are you doing?
So um multiple businesses, as I mentioned before. So I've got a digital marketing company called Lead Zoom, Agility Communications, which is my baby because I started that from Builder's Yard in Widnes, which I love doing. Um, I suppose really the main focus for me is obviously working day to day, in agility, growing the telecoms business. Obviously, I had a partial sale two years ago in this business as well, selling to a larger group and becoming part of that group, and obviously then subsequently end up investing in the group, and again that's another story. But in terms of day to day agility, definitely. But I think for me as well at the minute is building personal brands. I think that's my main aim for 2024 is to get on social media, try and give some decent content, because what that
Yeah,
will ultimately do, it will allow people to see who the real me is if they're trying to do business with us, um, and also hopefully it'll inspire more people to go and set up the business or try and get a million quid in revenue. So the main focus is always the telecoms business just because it's what I love doing, but at the same time the social media aspect is a big thing for me because I think that's what's going to help A, grow the business, and B, also grow my personal brands. And I'll be honest with you, I've got no agenda with the personal brand whatsoever. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, whether I'm going to monetize it in any way, shape, or form. That's not even crossing my mind yet. What I'm going to do with that, but you'll be able to give me some feedback anyway about sort of the value that maybe I brought to the conversation for you. But
oh,
I think
yeah,
social media is a big thing now. It can be good and bad, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a massive part of our lives which we need to utilize. And I think in 10 years time from now, and I hope someone watches this in 10 years time when you've got about 1 million subscribers on your podcast, then
fingers
you've got to
crossed.
shoot for the target. But
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think if you think it's saturated now, I think in 10 years people will get their act together and it'll be even more saturated. So I think, but the best time is always yesterday, don't get me wrong, but I think social media for me is the big aim this year because I think it'll help grow everything that I do. I think if you think of like, if I'm like, say, the cog, in the wheel, for example, what I'm thinking is if I can be the cog and I can essentially help all the business I'm involved with, or other people like coming on this podcast, for example. If I'm the cog in the wheel, I'm just hoping that I can really help people and help the businesses. And I think by having this social media presence, it will help multiple people. And again, I'm more at the minute. I'm more on the stage of trying to give knowledge and time because I think if you give knowledge and time, you'll get it back in abundance somewhere else anyway. So again, I'll probably do a lot of hard work for a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever. But I think once you give that sort of knowledge to people and time, the world and the universe has a strange way of working, and I think you'll get it back in some time. I mean, you should never give it to receive. That sounds really bad, doesn't it? But I think social media is and personal branding is 2024 101 for me. That's what I've got to focus on. So yeah, but I've got quite. Obviously, you don't know me that well, but people that know me will probably say my brain probably goes quicker than the way what I speak. So like all the time, I can't switch off. Just thinking about this. What about this? What about that? And it works. So I always think about all the businesses all the time anyway. I've got business partners in the digital marketing company, and I might ring them off the blue, just go, listen, I had this idea, what do you think? So it doesn't just mean I'm just focusing all the time on like, oh yeah, telecoms business, that's what I want to do day to day, or social media. My brain works in a weird way where I just have ideas, and I use like Trello to like note them down. I don't know if anyone's ever used Trello, but it's a good project management tool anyway. You can do it for to-do lists, but I'll note stuff down as well, if that makes sense. And just like, I'll listen about this idea. So yeah, I can't sit still basically. So in answer to your question, agility is always the main focus for me. It always has been, but social media is massive because I think that can benefit everything that I can do and more people.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, the personality. We got taught at a Rob Moore talk, rather than a personal brand, personality brand. Like, because everybody's kind of got a, people can copy. It's not like what I'm doing now is original, but kind of no one can copy your personality. So actually being that little bit polarizing maybe, or just kind of being yourself, authentic self,
Yeah.
and then nobody can copy that at all. But I love what you were saying as well about providing value for people. So it's kind of what I'm trying to do with the podcast.
100%.
I don't have the value, I'm right at the start of my journey, but this is why I'm trying to like speak to people who are already massively ahead of us, and then I'm getting the value, and then anybody who's watching is also getting the value as well. So I'm kind of using that technique without knowing anything yet.
Well, it trickles down, doesn't it? I mean, I've said on my YouTube videos and just on personality, that's why I think a podcast is really good, because you can show your personality. With YouTube videos, unless it's a vlog, and I've got a vlog coming out on Monday, it's quite hard to show your personality. So I think what you're doing on the podcast is really good. But listen, I've had really good mentors. I've got really good mentors. I mentioned before in videos that there's two types of mentors. There's an online mentor and there's an offline mentor. An online mentor being whether it's a Grant Cardone, whether it's a Robert Kiyosaki, whether it's a Jordan Belfort, whoever that is, that's your online mentor, and you can get value from them daily, because we're living in a world now where there's lots of social media, lots of YouTube. You can just go on and just type it in. You can get that online mentor. But I've been quite lucky. I've got offline mentors. If you think I've got multiple businesses, some of the business partners that I've got have either sold out for multi-millions or have got multiple multi-million pound portfolios. So hopefully some of the value that I get from them, we don't really have proper sit downs and conversations in terms of like set meetings to talk about what we should all improve on. It just comes out naturally in a conversation, but unfortunately they're not recorded. But that's why it's good sort of for that to trickle down.
Yeah, literally, like I was going to say this as well. You need to have a podcast, 100%. You need to have one. Like I've got run through the numbers, and it's insane. Like having a podcast in 2024 is like having a YouTube channel back in 2010. Like you're hitting this very, very early wave. So there's the numbers are, you've got 75 million active YouTube channels, but there's only 400,000 active podcast channels. And as well, if you make it to episode 20, or if you make it to episode 21, you're in the top 1% of podcasters, because nobody is consistent with it, So definitely you should do it. And especially if you've got mentors who are doing like crazy figures, talk to them. Like if you're already friends with them, just get them on and have a chat,
Yeah, I could definitely I mean, what I might do is I could probably repurpose some of my YouTube content into podcast format as well, so people could listen to it. But like I said, I've just recorded the video last week on side hustles, and one of the side hustles is about like an online travel business. So I've already got the two girls who are doing, I think, I'm going to quote wrong figures here, but whatever. But I think one of them's doing two or $3,000 a month in like income from it, and one of them's doing $5,000, and they still both have like 9 to 5 jobs as well. So, and I know them quite well. So it's like an online travel business, and I think the way it works is you can make money by selling holidays to people. So if you're going to sell me a trip to, the Bahamas or something for 10, 20 grand or whatever it would be, you'd make you're cutting the money and that's it. But I think the real way to make money is build a team of people under you, give them training, and then they go and sell, and then that filters into you as well, if that makes sense. So,
All right.
and
Okay. Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
done that over a year, or they've done it for a couple of years now because I follow them on social media. And like I said, I think one of them's got like 400 people under them, and one of them's got maybe 100, but they're doing like 2 and 5 grand respectively on top of their 9 to 5s.
It's insane. Yeah.
So yeah, but bringing that back onto podcast, we're going to do a podcast in the studio where I do the YouTube videos on that side hustle, especially, and just go, talk to me about it. So that maybe I will set up a podcast and repurpose some of my YouTube content. I don't know, but that's going to be the first proper podcast. And there's a guy I seen the other week. We met at like a mastermind event or something like that, and he's similar area, and he was actually playing paddle. Don't know if you've seen that paddle. Everyone loves paddle, don't they? But the new game, like
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everyone plays
I
it now.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. But people know what paddle is on this podcast. I'm telling you, everyone plays paddle now. It's like a form of tennis and squash. And I was speaking to him about it, and he's got a business, and I think they do hundreds of thousands of monthly recurring revenue. They do like a marketing company. And I said, listen, would you come on? He goes, yeah, definitely. Just give me a shout. So I might get some people on like that and do it. But I'll always keep it on YouTube as well, definitely, because I've started YouTube now and I can't stop. I'm too far in now. I've got to keep going. But that doesn't mean I can't repurpose onto different channels 100%. So I think you might be right there, mate. You're on to something anyway, 100%.
Yeah, but as well though, like you've got Spotify, Apple Music, like the kind of the broader you can brush it and put it on everything, So like I record these podcasts, make them into clips, and then I post them across as many channels as I just do the main ones, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. Nobody really watches the YouTube Shorts, but it's one of them that I don't use them myself, so they're just kind of running in the background, and I just think as long as I keep going, keep making the contact, keep putting it out there, just maybe I might get followers. I'm kind of not even doing it for the followers at this point. It's kind of just still a hobby that I just love to do at the minute. And I know that it's all working in conjunction with my bigger goal of like kind of building a property empire, like that is it's all gonna just like kind of mesh together and work as one kind of thing.
Property values compound, and I'll try and always bring it back to property. Property. If you do more and more,
I'd veer off. I'd talk about anything.
Eventually, you'll keep going like that, and it'll just exponentially grow. And that's the thing. You just got to keep going, mate. And same for me. I'm very, very new into the old social media stuff, and it's tough. But there will be one day when you will get one viral view, and then it will start kicking on. So no, it's all good, mate.
That's it. Well, I think we'll end it there. I mean, I've got massive value from this. Like, this has been really good for me. I needed this talk. Even if it wasn't recorded, I've had like a really good talk with you. So I really appreciate it. So I just want to say thank you.
No, good. Thanks for having me on. And if I can do, again, a shameless plug, if everyone can follow me on YouTube.
Everything. Yeah.
Alan_Riddick on YouTube. TikTok, I think it's just Alan Riddick. And I think Instagram's just Alan Riddick as well. And again, post one YouTube video per week, and normally do about 2 shorts a day on Instagram and TikTok. So yeah, go there. Got a website now as well, alanriddick.com, so have a little look. But yeah, I really appreciate your time, Damien. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you. Okay, I'll end that there.
See you soon.